Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and it is Sunday, so we are doing breaches of the week. And instead of just declaring every week that this week is the longest breaches of the week ever, let's just assume this from now on, because these keep getting worse. Now, before we start, a big shout out to Christophe Fowlon for literally giving me probably half of these throughout the week. And Christophe, thank you for watching, listening, and obviously helping me out here. I'm always looking for tips and all of that, so please, everybody keep that in mind. Let's dive in though. And we are going to start with Australia. Now, there is an event planning company out there called Amazing Co., and they have a database that was found to be leaking more than 200,000 records with personal data tied to children's entertainment, wine tour events, and more. Now, researchers this past Monday said that they found 212,220 total records with customers' personal details, including names, emails, phone numbers, address, and this was left exposed in an Elasticsearch database. So if you have any ties with Amazing Co in any way, shape, or form who did not respond to comment, please check that out. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Perceptics. Now, this is a Tennessee-based company, and they are the exclusive maker of vehicle license plate readers used very extensively by the United States government and various cities to identify and track citizens and immigrants, and they just got hacked. Its internal files were stolen and are presently being offered for free on the dark web to download. Now, the file names and accompanying directories, almost 65,000 in total, basically fit their focus with technology. So these include Excel files for names and locations, JPEG files with names that refer to drivers and scenes, Word documents associated with presumed government clients like ICE, that's the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, date and time stamped images, and on and on and on. That is a major data breach for the U.S. government. So if you have any ties with Perceptics and you're outside of the government, heads up, and the U.S. government heads up on that. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Flipboard. Now, this is a news aggregation app that basically they just came out and stated hackers access personal data about their users. Now, they did not say how many customers have been affected, but this app has been installed over 500 million times at least. So here we go. Now, the database that basically got exposed, according to Flipboard, included account credentials named and hashed and salted passwords and email addresses. And if you have been using Flipboard for years, meaning before March of 2012, then your encryption is incredibly weak on your password. They were using an older version of encryption called SHA-1. So if you are a Flipboard user, heads up, you might want to change your password. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the city of Laredo, Texas. Now, a lot of you guys heard about Baltimore, the city in, and I believe I talked about this, the city in Maryland in the United States, that basically got shut down to a ransomware attack. Well, the city of Laredo is now one of those cities. They are actually back on their feet, though. A ransomware virus encrypted the document management system used by the city's secretary office around 1:30 a.m. this past Wednesday. And Laredo, fortunately, was on the ball, and they seem to be doing okay with this, and looks like they had a good contingency plan in place. So if you are in the city of Laredo, heads up to you. Moving on, we're going to be talking about People Inc. Now, People Inc. is one of Western New York's largest nonprofit agencies. They just revealed a data breach that has exposed sensitive medical information belonging to current and former clients. Now, an employee email account appears to have been compromised, and that is the source of the leak. And a vast array of clients have been exposed. Up to 1,000 clients may be involved. So if you have anything to do with the nonprofit of People Inc., heads up to you. Moving on, we're going to be talking about one of America's largest restaurant chains, that is Checkers or Rally's. They apparently are one company, and I had a Checkers in the town where I grew up in Illinois. Pretty good burgers. So if you have been to a Checkers in the last 2 to 3 years, I have not, you may actually have a problem. They just disclosed a long-running data breach yesterday that affected 103 of their stores or of their restaurants, which is about 15% of their total store count. Now, this was a point of sale hit using malware, when we've seen this time and time again. But if you are in Florida, California, Michigan, New York, Nevada, New Jersey, Georgia, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Delaware, Kentucky, Louisiana, Alabama, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, West Virginia, or Virginia, heads up, you might have a credit card breach thanks to Checkers or Rally. Moving on, let's talk about HealthQuest. Now, this is a health organization, obviously. They just had a phishing incident that appears to have been discovered in July of 2018 that affected an unspecified number of HealthQuest patients. Now, it looks like HealthQuest first discovered this via email attachments in January of 2019, but they disclosed April 2nd, 2019, and they did not explain why it took them this long to disclose. They might be violating state law. And a lot of states are now moving to compliance standards that say if you have a data breach, you must disclose this between 30 and 45 days. So we'll see where that goes with that. But if you are with HealthQuest, and from what I understand, they're in Poughkeepsie, heads up to you. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the Pyramid Hotel Group. Now, they own basically a ton of different hotels, such as like Marriott, Sheraton's, Westin's, Hilton's, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And researchers discovered an unsecured database that basically gave the security audit logs for Pyramid Hotel Group, which is essentially a roadmap for a malicious hacker to evade detection or know where the vulnerabilities are in a network. So we're looking at things like server API keys and passwords, device names, IP address, firewall and open port information, malware alerts, login attempts, brute force attack detection, virus and malware detected on various machines, application errors, server names and operating system details, employees' full names and usernames, and on and on and on. That is a serious breach. And if you've stayed at any one of their hotels, and you may have, because apparently they own several different hotels across multiple different hotel chains, you may possibly have been affected by them getting affected. Moving on, we're going to be going to the United Kingdom here. South Wales police are investigating after the University of South Wales basically had a data breach. This is coming from Thursday, a couple of days ago. Now, a man was arrested in connection with this, but officers are continuing to investigate and have not revealed any further details about this. So if you are in South Wales and you have any relation with the University of South Wales, heads up to you in the UK, you may have a problem. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Redtail Technology. Now, they make a CRM database for, I believe it's financial advisors. They have possibly exposed personal client information of the advisors that uses their customer relationship management software. Now, a technical error captured client data, including names, addresses, and social security numbers, and put it into a file that anyone on the internet could have accessed. This is according to Investment News. Now, Redtail may have broken state cybersecurity laws because its response to this leak, when it was reported, basically comes more than 2 months after they identified the breach on March 4th, and the two states that they are in have breach disclosure laws of 30 days and 45 days, respectively. That is Ohio and Florida, or Florida and Ohio. So with that, if you use Redtail Technology in any way, shape, or form, heads up to you. Moving on, we're going to be going to Springfield, Illinois. Now, that is the capital of Illinois. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources suffered a data breach earlier this week. A spokesperson with the Department of Technology and Innovation for Illinois said it was the inadvertent release of personal information of watercraft registrants. A spokesperson for the Illinois DNR says the state of Illinois routinely posts lists of active watercraft registration data to the Illinois Open Data Portal, and watercraft registration containing personal information was inadvertently uploaded to this portal. So if you own a boat or a jet ski or something in Illinois, heads up, Illinois may have just dumped your information out there. Moving on, we're heading back to Australia. Now, there's an online fashion retailer in Australia called Princess Polly. They just suffered a data breach which may have exposed customers' personal and payment information to an unidentified third party. Now, while it did not store payment information, this is according to the Princess Polly website, the company said that the attackers may have been able to capture payment details as they were typed into the site. So we have another point of sale in the cloud this time breach. So if you are in Australia or you shop at Princess Polly, heads up to you. Moving on, we're heading to Jefferson City, Missouri. I told you this was a long video. Jefferson, Missouri. Now, their city public schools, they have a data breach by an employee that could affect thousands of current and former students, which includes medical information, identification numbers, and some other obviously very important information. This was announced by the school district this past Wednesday. Now, according to a press release, the district recently determined that an employee transferred district files to a private internet account. The information could impact several thousand current and former students, and this information includes names, addresses, medical information, as I said, Missouri student identification system numbers, and more. So if you have a student in the Jefferson City, Missouri city public school system, heads up, he or she may have a issue with exposure. Moving on, we're going to keep it in the Midwest and go to Madison, Wisconsin. Columbus Community Hospital officials are saying an email scam basically is a culprit for a data breach that may have left patients' personal information exposed. This is a HIPAA violation. An email account of an employee with the hospital's claims management service was compromised, the hospital said, and patients' names, account numbers, insurers' names, summaries of charges, and service categories may have been accessed. Patients' social security numbers as well may have been accessed as well. So if you use the Columbus Community Hospital in Madison, Wisconsin, heads up to you. And finally, we're actually going to be talking about one of the most interesting and possibly damning data breaches of the week. Now, there is basically multiple Chinese dating apps that exposed, and basically this is dating, like, romantic dating and all of that. They exposed 42.5 million records of mostly U.S. citizens. And this was coming from a researcher, Jeremiah Fowler of Security Discovery. And Jeremiah, good work on this. He basically found an unsecured database exposing a huge amount of records. The publicly accessible database contained data belonging to some Chinese data apps that are literally targeting U.S. citizens in the various app stores, whether it's Apple or Google and all of that. Now, elaborating on his findings, Fowler said that he found an unprotected elastic database on May 25th, 2019. This database contained various folders having names belonging to various dating apps which claim to have distinct developers of each. And he said, and I quote, "What really struck me as odd was that despite all of them using the same database, they claim to be developed by separate companies or individuals that do not seem to match up with each other." In other words, you basically had one company in China making multiple data apps claiming to be multiple different manufacturers. I also did a video on this, not this specifically, but another Chinese company on VPNs, that basically these VPNs are data mining basically the heck out of you. And there's about 10 or 12 of them from various Chinese companies, but they all lead back to basically one company with ties to the Beijing government. We've got another issue here. But here's the thing, this gets a little more damning in terms of personal information. So the apps cited in this database do exist online, Fowler checked. Now, all of them have different focuses to attract more users. And so some of the apps that he found were Cougar Dating, you can do your math on that one, Mingler, FWBS, which I looked up, that is Friends with Benefits, Christians Finder, and TS, which is what Fowler is assuming is a transsexual dating app. Now, in terms of the information that was exposed, this is where it gets very interesting. Now, Fowler explained that it contained details about lifestyle choices, sexual preferences, and even infidelity. However, it did not expose billing information. So what makes this interesting is that if you've got, let's say, people that are, let's say, in sensitive positions in the government, and they are exposing, let's say, lifestyle choices, let's just leave it at that, that could be a potentially very damning thing, blackmail, all that kind of stuff. So that is a huge problem. And once again, we really need to know, who is running our apps, because literally a slew of dating apps just exposed in a data breach 42.5 million records, mostly U.S. citizens. So those are your breaches of the week, the longest data breach ever video, if you will, and probably until next week. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.